Hi, my name is Alex, and you are listening to CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph.
Hello, my name is James, and CFRU, you are tuned in, CFRU 93.3 FM. I have here Koba. Hi, Koba.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking. And we're going to be interviewing Koba. Koba released a article. He did an analysis, actually, pretty extensive one, regarding the 2015 election that's taking place.
That's correct.
Here in Guelph, right? Okay. I was looking at your article. It's pretty extensive stuff, but we have the opportunity to get to interview about this, find out why you did it, and some of the information that you gathered together, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, getting started, what is this publication about, Koba?
Yeah. I found that people are bombarded with a lot of information, and there are many misleading information. Politicians are accusing each other. People are lost on where to focus. I wanted to show them how to try to objectively analyze and find the best candidate for them. So I tried to do this as one way of doing an analysis so that people have the freedom to follow this kind of method to choose the best candidate for them.
Okay, that's necessary. Now, I guess that pretty much covers why you did it, but why did you decide to take it upon yourself to do that?
First of all, I found the need. People need to be informed. That's our duty, to inform the public. We have to act on the public interest. And also, I did it because in Guelph, we have to focus more on the local issues, how the parties and the members are going to benefit the Guelph community. That is our main focus. Yes, sometimes party may offer good things for you, but if the candidate is not able to take your voice to Ottawa and not able to act on your behalf, then it is useless to choose that candidate. And all the parties are promising, but it is not sure that they will be able to implement their promises. We have to also look if their promises are implementable. So I did this to inform the public and to remind the public about their role in acting on the best interest of the Guelph community by objectively analyzing the candidates and choosing the right one.
Okay, so there's no bias.
I'm afraid to say, because I may have some personal bias. That's why I am encouraging people to have their own way of analyzing and come up with a solution for that. It could be better if so many people do the analysis and compare the result.
Okay.
Ultimately, it is each person's decision, right? So,
how long did it take you for you to compile this information?
I actually started to do it right after the election campaign was announced by Stephen Harper.
Really?
Yeah. First, I wanted to invite NDP candidate for an interview. I was frustrated because several times I emailed him, called him, and sent phone messages both at his workplace and also at his campaign office. I didn't get a response. But the president of the NDP Riding Association got back to me and he was very kind enough to talk to me over 1 hour about the party's policies and values. He also promised that his candidate will get me back and have an interview with me, but he didn't get back to me.
Why did you want to specifically interview an NDP candidate first?
I had a good impression on NDP. I thought they are the people most care about the middle class people, and they voice for our benefit, including immigrants. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they were the ones that didn't. Green also didn't vote for Bill C-51. They didn't vote for Bill C-51, and other some bad decisions that conservative and liberals jointly voted for.
Okay. Why did you? There is I see here that there's an exit interview that you did with Mr. Frank.
Yeah.
Valuate.
Yeah. I started with him because I wanted to set a benchmark. I want to. He is praised for good work, so I wanted to know the work he has been doing, the level he is serving at, so that I can set a benchmark, and also I can learn from him what are the things to expect from the new candidates. So first I interviewed him, and I got a good knowledge, a good learning from the interview, and using that as a benchmark, I wanted to interview other people.
Okay. You also wanted to, you did some candidates' personal qualities. You evaluated candidates' personal qualities based on time and response and stuff.
Yeah.
Why did you do that instead of focusing on their party platform, policies, and values?
Mm-hmm. About the party platform and party policy, the leaders are talking in their national leaders debate, and I think they are in more appropriate position to maybe bend and say that we can go, we can change it, maybe we can adapt like that. But these people doesn't have any power over that. And also the party platform and policy are available from different sources in the internet and from many media sites. It is really important at the community level for us to understand the candidate better. If the candidate have the strong qualities to fight the challenges and for advance our aspirations, that is more important. That's why I wanted to look at their personal qualities. I want to know what they are bringing with them, what kind of expertise they are bringing. Everybody has their own unique perspective, and if their perspectives are mostly to help the Guelph community and also contribute to the nation as well. Yeah.
Okay. Now, speaking of which qualities would you say are the most three important for an MP?
Mm-hmm. Through the interview with Mr. Frank Valeriat, I understood that the work is very challenging and it's a full-time commitment. You don't get to spend time with your family. For that reason, the candidate should be a hard worker, and he should be able to sacrifice some of his personal beliefs and values, and also should be a strong advocate that can manage all the challenges and win what we want to achieve.
I see, certainly. Can I ask, Koba, will this be available publicly as well?
Yeah, I have posted on.
I
have posted on LinkedIn.
Okay. Now it looks like you do not want a majority government. Can you just quickly define what you would view as a majority government, and then explain why you do not want one?
Yeah, if a single party get more seats, then they have more power to pass any legislation they want. At that point, they are also maybe busy and they have many frustration with other party members in the argument. They would like to pass all the legislation they want, and they may take advantage of that situation so that they can again win next time. The public consultation will decrease from their side. We experienced this one already, and we had many worse decisions passed, at least the decision that affected marginalized populations like people of color, immigrants, people with disability, people under poverty, people looking for work, everything, and retired people. I can point at least one legislation that affect each demographic. Majority government is very risky, and we need to hear all the perspective that affect every demographic and make informed decision.
What would be the solution, or what would be the flip side to a majority government?
I support the coalition government, because
and what is that?
That will make them collaborate with other parties to make decision. Coalition government is when one single party is not able to form a government, then they will form a coalition with other parties and form the government. People are going to work together. They are going to forget about their difference. They are going to forget about their hostility, everything. And more people's voice are going to be heard through different party members. More demographics are going to be covered, because each party has different point that capture many demographics. So at least the worst decisions will not be passed. That's the important thing. Sometimes coalition government may have difficulty passing legislations. For the most part, I believe at least the worst decisions will not be passed. They will have to put more public interest on their decisions.
Now, breaking down, you found out certain things. You did analysis about each party. What did you find out about the conservatives?
Conservative parties, they have demonstrated that they have no regard to marginalized people, because they took many austerity measures on the social benefit programs that helped the marginalized people, and unemployment rate is very high. They are saying that they are maintaining a good economy, they are producing balanced budget. If you are keeping on austerity measures on the marginalized people, then what's the use of having balanced budget? You are still giving the rich people more money and corporates more money, but you have no money to support marginalized people. I can give a specific example. Even in Guelph, that they closed the Nylor and MacLeod ESL school, where I was studying English, and I liked the service because of the high quality of service, and also
the English as a second language institution. What was the name of the school?
Nylor and MacLeod. I believe they were operating for 17 years in Guelph, but they cut the funding and they had to close. And I was going to a career transition program in Hamilton. There they cut 5 million funding, and they closed the program. So everywhere I go, I see funding cuts. The social benefit programs are not adjusted to the living cost. Retired people are not getting what they deserve, the pension benefits. People have to work 2 years more. In each demographic, there's a problem.
What about the liberals? What did you find out about them?
Liberals, they are not able to make best decisions themselves, because they are always behind the conservative decisions. Like they supported Bill C-51, and they also supported reducing corporate tax by 2%, while the austerity measures on the social benefit programs are still taken. And also liberals are accusing very much on other parties. I don't think that they will be able to work in collaboration with other parties. All of them are doing this accusation in varying degrees, but liberals, at least from the local player I have seen, they are accusing so much.
You mentioned, now that you've brought that up, you mentioned in your analysis about the flyer. What is it that you took from this flyer? Why do you have such a passionate view about it as far as the content?
Yeah, it was a local liberal flyer. 3 pages of this flyer accuse and blame other parties. Only half of a page they needed to say what they have to offer to the community. They accused the conservative government for personal attacks, but in that flyer I found liberals also attack personally. They devoted most of a page to blame another candidate here, Mr. Godmiller, for his association with Mike Harris, for running in the common sense reform with Mike Harris, and for having received support from Mike Harris to become environmental commissioner. I don't know how it is going to help people make decisions in this particular election. He is now running for Green. Maybe his values have been changed. Maybe he didn't know what was going to happen when he ran for the common sense reform. And this could be a learning mistake as well. And that was 1995, and now we are in 2015.
20 years later?
Yeah. And they didn't say anything bad about his track record on his performance as a environmental commissioner. If his advocacy skills were not good, then that could be a valid consideration. Otherwise, accusing for his association with Mike Harris, I don't think a valid concern, because people also believed in Mike Harris and elected for a Mike Harris majority government. So in that case, they have to accuse people also. In that flyer, they had a chance to convince the people what they have to offer, but they didn't do that. They just said what other people are doing bad, and just because other people are bad, they are expecting themselves to be elected. But the accusations on Green Party is not fair, I believe, so I don't think that is valid.
Speaking of the Greens, what did you find out about them?
It's a growing party, and they didn't have much influence in the parliament because they had just 2 votes. They had only 2 representatives. Growing party, in my view, may have a lot of energy. They have the enthusiasm to fight. That may be an advantage, and also they may have a new, fresh perspective. These other people are from the old school. These people, the party is there for a long time, but it's still growing. It embraces new leaders. They have a fresh look, and also the Green Party leader is a female, and we need a female advocate because all the other parties have male leaders, and they may have members that are female, but that is not working because the male leaders are going out of the way to talk about females issue. Particularly, I can talk about the niqab issue. I'm not very happy why that these people are talking about the niqab. If you have security concerns, yes, you can examine the person with the help of a female security person. But why do you want to have the female open her face to all the public when she is not used to it? I work with Muslim people, so I know that they feel embarrassed that they have no covering when suddenly a male enter into their place. So it's a kind of embarrassment and uncomfortable they feel when their face is not covered because they are used to it. These people do not understand that, and they don't take into consideration of the feelings of females.
So you feel that the Greens understand these type of concerns and they're best for representing that type of
At least
voice?
The Green Party leader talked a lot about the niqab issue, yeah, and she's a female, and since she's a female leader, she can talk with her full force on behalf of females. But the male leaders depend on their female members. If the female members are not challenging their leaders, the male leaders are not going to talk about that. But the Green Party leader, since she's a female, she can act with full force, and people can approach her and ask for support, ask for more voice. I believe it's time for equal participation for females as well in the high levels of positions.
Yes.
And the female leaders deserve more support.
The communists.
Mhm.
What did you find out about them?
Yeah, Communist Party has a good platform, yes, but it is very difficult to implement. I asked the Communist Party leader, assuming that you win in all the ridings that you run, will you be able to implement what you offer in your platform? He's honestly said no, because this kind of changes need mass movement. I don't see any possibility for a mass movement in the near future. They are more into putting out their values in the public and educating the people. And a lot of education need to be done in the community, because people even don't know that a communist party exists, and some people are afraid of hearing the name of communist. One person, when I was just talking to, said that she doesn't like any party and she doesn't want to vote in this election. There are other parties, there are minor parties like marijuana, then libertarian, communist. She said she was stunned. Are they running here? She's asking me.
The name.
Yeah.
NDP.
I didn't finish that, sorry. So
Yes.
because of this one, Communist Party need to work a lot, and the campaign is not that big, and the chances of winning is very low. Because of the first past electoral system, people think that voting a Communist Party will be a waste of their vote. So what I would suggest is the Communist Party offers some dramatic change, like increasing the minimum wage to $20. That I believe is not that practical. Changes will not happen such quickly. Changes need some management. You need to be skilled at change management so that you can address all the consequences associated with the changes. The Green Party is offering, for example, guaranteed livable income. I think that's the best offer, because government is not able to offer job to everybody. They have to care about that. They have to satisfy everybody's life by giving a guaranteed livable income. Since there are only few jobs to compete, only the motivated and passionate people will compete that positions and do a good job. If they have enough job to offer, then they may not need to provide guaranteed livable income. I don't think that providing guaranteed livable income, it will be a disincentive for people to work. People don't want to just sit at home, right? They are doing any kind of work, like at least advocacy work or something. Everything has a value, and we have to not only just rely on the manufacturing and exploitation of natural resources. We have to also value other services and allow people to continue with their passions. There are many artists in the community that they are not able to continue their work because they are not getting funding. But if they are given guaranteed livable income, they maybe continue their artistic work, and that will create a good community well-being, keep the community healthy, because arts and culture is a vital element, I believe, in the community to engage people and connect people and increase the emotional well-being of the people.
Well,
I have one off topic maybe. You were talking
Sure.
about
No, but I was going to say that such as radio itself could fall into the same category as arts and culture.
Yeah.
And hence your views are being expressed on this.
Yeah, I am also doing a lot of work, but I am not getting paid for that.
Well, I think, I mean,
But my services are not valued.
there's people that are listening right now, definitely, whether it's 1 or 50,000. So at the end of the day, you're reaching out to someone. I'll tell you that much. Well, I, for one, am hearing what you have to say. So I think that counts for a lot.
Thanks, sir.
NDP, what do you have to say about NDP?
I liked NDP when Jack Layton was leading the party. Thomas Mulcahy is also not bad. He's very diplomatic and very polite. But I didn't like his approach to the Liberal Party's some of the good offers, like taxing one person on the wealthiest and giving that revenue to poor people. I feel like Thomas Malkia is not making a genuine argument. He is just against to the party. So he also commented in an interview to CBC that Liberal Party leader Mr. Justin Trudeau said that he would work with NDP but not with Thomas Malkia. That is another Liberal's personal attack on Thomas Malkia. Thomas Malkia also not showing any willingness. He says that they called for a coalition in the past and the Liberals rejected, but he is using it as a defense. But I don't think that he is able to work in collaboration with the Liberals, because Liberals offer one, I believe, good offer, that taxing the wealthiest 1% and sharing the revenue with the poor. It addresses at some level the income disparity. Thomas Malkia doesn't want that. He says he won't raise personal tax. Why? He's taxing the wealthiest people that have more money, and rather than making the rich people more rich, he is taking some money from them and giving to the poor. That's what you are saying, that when you are opposing the corporate tax reduction and income splitting, when they voted for income splitting, both conservative and liberals, you said they are making rich people more rich, and this program is going to do nothing to poor people. And also you said when they both passed the corporate tax reduction, you said they did that to save employment, but it didn't actually save the employment, and that they lost unnecessarily the revenue, and they give more money to the corporates, you argue. It seems like you also want to take money from the rich people and to give it to the poor, but Liberal is offering that, but you don't want. In my opinion, you are saying you don't want to do that because it's coming from Liberal Party and you want to be opposed to the Liberals.
And here you're speaking of the NDP's perspective.
Yeah, the Thomas Malkia's NDP. So.
There's a note that you make about social advocates infiltrating the existing infrastructure to make possible changes. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, some social advocates look at the outcome, the change they have to make. Like I said, change does not happen very rapidly. Sometimes you need to take more effort. You have to sometimes work undercover. You are a social advocate. Those people in power may be scared of you. Maybe they want to keep you away from them so that you don't investigate them and you don't disclose any of their account or report or something. And they don't want you to criticize them in the public and reduce their reputation.
Would you consider yourself a social advocate?
Yeah. But then our other option is for us is to infiltrate the existing infrastructure and then at least making some slow changes. I learned that from a politician in India. He formed a coalition with a with a major party that nobody liked. When he formed the coalition, everybody was against him. Other people formed coalition with other opposing major parties. None of them were elected in that coalition, the opposing coalition. But the person that in the first case I mentioned was elected. And within that party, he's trying to make changes, and he was able to make some small changes. He said, we need a voice. If we are going to fight like this outside, we are not going to get a voice. We need a voice. We have to find a way to get our voice. And for that reason, he infiltrated the party that people didn't like very much. But he actually voiced for the people when he was elected.
So since you describe, or rather you would view yourself as a social advocate as well. Is that also the goal of this particular analysis, as a voice?
Yeah, I want to be a voice for the marginalized people, any kind of marginalized people, like people of color, race, place of origin, then immigrants, visible minorities, all of them overlaps, and also people with disability, people with poverty, gender, everything. I am a Master of Public Health. I completed interdisciplinary Master of Public Health course, and there are 12 social determinants of health recognized in public health in Canada. In order to improve the people's health, we have to also address the social determinants of health, because just addressing their health issue is not going to be helpful. You have to address the social determinants of health. It includes poverty, housing, culture, gender, many things. Yeah.
Now, you make, or rather, let me ask, how do you compare the mistakes that are made by progressive people and others?
Yeah. That's a good question. People just count the number of mistakes the progressive people make, but they don't compare the activities. Some people work very hard, they take initiative. When there's no voice, they try to make voice, even though they don't have enough training. They may try to fill the gap and make their voice, and they make some learning mistakes. But there are other people, they are not very progressive. They will do what they know, and they will not take any initiative. They will follow other leaders, maintain status quo. Chances are very less for those people to make mistake. So just counting the mistake is not a way to assess a person's performance. You have to also look at the activity level of that person, how hard that person is working, how much changes that person is advocating or making. Keeping all those in mind only, you have to compare two people. It's more likely that progressive people make more learning mistakes than other people, but learning mistakes and serious mistakes are different. That also people have to take it into consideration. I don't think what Mr. Mike Harris did is a learning mistake. And he experimented on the large population. That's very bad.
You wrote more about Elizabeth May, and what is it that you like about her?
I don't say that I like her. She came to Guelph 3 times. Maybe that's the reason I was able to write about her here. Actually, when she came here for a town hall, I stood up and asked a question to her about an immigrant issue. I stood up and asked her that federal government is funding many citizenship and immigration program, and the local immigration partnership in Guelph is one. But the federal government seems to me is not providing oversight on their funding. The local immigration partnership is working closely with the employers and social service providers in Guelph and educate them on awareness and inclusion, and educate them to include immigrants and treat them without discrimination. I told her it is not our responsibility to educate the employers and service providers who discriminates us or likely to discriminate us. It is their responsibility to pay and train their staff to treat everybody equally without discrimination and have a diverse and inclusive workplace. Ontario Human Rights Commission also doing some part of the education, and many other legal education program that educates the employers and service providers on that. They are doing this thing, but the money that issued to support immigrants should not be put on educating those that are likely to discriminate immigrants. If you were to provide service to immigrants, you have to use that money to empower immigrants, maybe like teaching immigrants on their rights to be free from discrimination and fight for discrimination. If they do that one, I will be more happy. But they are indirectly shifting the fund to support those that discriminate immigrants and likely to discriminate immigrants. The other thing also, the local immigration partnership in Guelph, they have a leadership council that make most of the decisions. They have the decision-making power. Leadership council is composed of more than 2/3 of non-immigrants, and predominantly they also have white people. These people are making decisions on immigrants and immigrants' issues. That's the reason they are not able to prioritize the needs of immigrants, and they are making many wrong decisions. And I also say this is a paternalistic approach. This is how the settlers treated First Nations, Métis and Inuits. They made them wards of the states and made all the decisions for them. Now they are doing it to us. I said it has to be ceased. Elizabeth May was very happy about the question I raised there. And surprisingly, many audience clapped while I was asking this question. Even though I felt that they may be offended because most of them are non-immigrants and most of them are white people, but they were happy that I raised that question in the hall. Elizabeth May took the microphone and said, yeah, there's no enough oversight. The citizenship and immigration is a mess. They have stopped the family reunion program even. They have to do a lot.
Did she speak on the niqab issue?
Yeah, nobody asked question, but she spontaneously talked about that niqab issue.
And how do you respond to the niqab issue?
Personally, I feel even the niqab issue shouldn't be a subject of debate. I wrote in my article that if Stephen Harper is asked to participate in a debate topless, he will feel uncomfortable and embarrassed. It's the same. You used to cover your chest when you are in the public, and they used to cover their face when they are in the public. It's removing face cover for them. It's like for you to remove your top.
Wow, what a comparison. And speaking of Elizabeth May, did you mention that? Did she speak on that, or that wasn't brought up?
Yeah, when she arrived for the first few minutes, she delivered a speech, and in that speech she talked about that. And I also asked another question from her that previous days she was answering the calls of CBC callers. And one caller asked her, if an elected MP is not doing his work properly, is it possible to recall him? Are you supportive of that kind of provision? And she said yes, she was in favor of that.
Why do you see her as a peacemaker?
Because nowadays, when every party is attacking each other and increasing their hostility, she's the one saying that we would like to work across the party lines. And she's really talking about collaboration. And the other thing is they don't have much seats, right? It's a must for them to work with other parties.
Now, how do you think the major parties will respond to what she stands for?
They may disregard. That's a problem. And they have to come up with a way to make the other party hear them. Mostly by getting more public support. If there's no majority government, then public voice will be respected by the government.
Okay, so some people think that they have to vote for a party that can form a government. Do you agree? And if not, why?
If everybody is going to think like that, then they are going to form a majority government. And you have to, at the community level, you have to select a candidate that will best serve you. You are not voting for a party at the community level. Yes, you have to consider the party policy and everything to a certain level, but more important that you choose the best candidate that can hear you, that can make him or herself available to you and represent the Guelph voice in Ottawa and vigorously advance your aspirations and get the results for you.
You say that the communist platform is not implementable. What do you mean by that?
Because, for example, they want $20 minimum wage, then they want free transportation, then abolishing the CSS and CSEC.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
They want to abolish that one. They want to abolish tuition. That's a good thing. They are covering most areas. Like they are even concerned about the migrant workers, temporary residents. They are precarious working conditions, that kind of thing. They are for working class people. So they are covering many things. But the thing is, what they are looking for is not strategized. From this place, suddenly they want to take you to that
From
place.
point A
Yeah.
to B.
Yeah, that's the problem I found with them. Otherwise, their platform is good, and like I said, nowadays everything is interconnected. And if you want to make a change in one place, it's going to affect many places. So you have to manage with the consequences. So change management is very important. So it's better to make small step-by-step changes. USSR also introduced a certain change, but it is from socialism to the marketing economy. People say that USSR had a communist regime, but I hear from Russians that they were not able to have a communism. They were working on that, but they were not able to. Then when they changed to the marketing economy, they did it very suddenly, and they ended up having crisis. People became poor, and a lot of violence started because of the poverty and everything. So I think that change has to be managed and well planned. I am not against what they say, that by having a mass movement you can make the change. They say maybe it's possible, I don't know, but I don't see a possibility in, at least in the near future, for that.
You want to interview Elizabeth May. Why do you want to interview Elizabeth May?
Mm-hmm. I want to clarify on that. Like I said, to a caller, she said that she supports the elected candidate recall provision. If her candidate is not doing the job well, will she apply the same policy to him as well? I want to ask her. And some other questions. Why she came to Guelph 3 times?
And how can you expect to have her reserve time for you, seeing that she's a...
Yeah, so she volunteered actually. I wanted to have a short interview at that time. She came late because of a traffic jam or something. She came late and she has to rush after the town hall to Toronto for another meeting. I offered because I am from an underrepresented population. I am coming from a marginalized population background. So it's an offer for her as well to listen to a marginalized person's question and respond. I asked her for a short interview at the town hall, but she said, can we have an over the phone interview? And she was very happy about my questions on that day, and she was very willing to answer my questions. And it distinguishes herself from other candidates or leaders that she makes herself available to a underrepresented person and answer questions, right? She is okay. The thing is, she asked the national director of tour to coordinate the interview.
Okay.
And the national director of tour was not responsive to my calls many times. My questions were a little bit tough. Then I told her, okay, I'm going to reduce my question to 3. I'm going to ask just 3 questions. She said she will get back to me on the next day, but she didn't get back to me. One thing I was not happy, several times I used my cell phone to call her. Always a voice message played. Then I took the station phone and called her. I got the answer from her. I don't know.
Gord Miller, you pointed out that he is, in fact, you mentioned that the mistakes that were pointed out by the liberals were actually learning mistakes.
Yeah, it could be a learning mistakes.
Why can't you take the liberals voting for Bill C-51 also as a learning mistake?
Mm-hmm. I think people are aware of that. Public is against that, and that's a serious thing. It's a serious mistake. If you're making serious mistake, and even if it is a learning mistake, then you need to have some time to learn. Then you then you try to take the role.
You talk about politicians playing games with people. What kind of game do they play?
Yeah, for example, nowadays the politicians are targeting voters. They know who is likely to vote for them, whose vote they can win, and then they target them. Their platform is also tailored to their voters. That's very bad. And also they are promising something to please the public, but actually they may not be able to implement. Or sometimes some politicians, when the first term ends, they try to make it like happening and ask the people to vote for the next term so that they can complete that thing. So there are many games politicians play. Sometimes they make small issue big, like, for example, security means people should be able to live without fear. It's not just free from crime or something like that. People need to feel secured in the sense that they don't need to fear going out or something like that. To that level, this police and the security people have to work, right? But what they do is they create a sense of insecurity. They create like fears like that. I don't know, even in the case of niqab, if somebody can carry something,
conceal something
inside the niqab and do something, I don't know, but they have an option to have a female staff to check her if they have security concern. But that issue has been brought to a high level of dispute that's unnecessary. And also, I believe that you're going to other countries and fight in other countries, and you are creating enemies for you. So there may be some retaliations, but you should not make everybody have a sense of fear that they are going to be attacked or something like that.
How do you think people should respond to the games that you state are being played?
Yeah, first we have to understand the motives behind the action. Then we have voting power. We decide who wants to be our representative. So that is our power we have to use. Also, you can use campaign, your advocacy. There are other democratic ways, like if somebody is doing something bad, you can take them to court or something like that. But this is easier and powerful way. If people, for example, want to punish, for example, liberal for voting Bill C-51, or if they want to deter them from engaging in similar activities, they may vote against. For example, I just want to choose an example here. Guelph. It's said to be a close fought riding for Liberals and Greens. So people have to choose between Greens and Liberals. Even if the Liberals have more chance to win the seat here, you can play as a kingmaker. When the two parties are fighting very closely, every vote counts. So even sometimes the victory is decided by 200 or 100 votes, right? Sometimes the difference is only 200 or 100 like that. So every vote counts. If you want to teach a lesson to liberals, you want to give them a tough competition, at least by choosing to vote strategically to another party. And the liberals may win or even lose, but even if they win, they will know that these people gave them a tough competition. So we have to really pay attention to them so that next time we can currently have a seat here like that.
You have criticized all the candidates. Now, how do you think this will affect your relationship with them?
I am
seeing that one of them will definitely be elected.
Yes, of course. They are also in the public service. I am also working on the public interest, and nothing personal. I am just informing the community. I want to be neutral as much possible. For them to take it personal is unprofessional. And I am doing my media works. I have to give different perspective to people, and maybe my criticism on one party more than the other party. But I may have another colleague that is doing the opposite. So it's balanced.
You speak of the Russian grandma. What did she say to you?
Oh,
who is the Russian grandma?
Okay, I studied in Russia for 6 years, and I had a good relationship with the Russian grandma. I lived in her house, and she used to cook for me, and I used to help her in her garden and everything. She said to me that Lenin didn't like Stalin in his final years. I mean, when he was counting his years, but he chose Stalin because he thought he's the only person that could better serve the people. So even if I don't like someone, I need to see if it is the right person to serve the best interests of the people. If yes is the answer for that question, then yeah, even if I don't like him or her personally, I would vote for him because public interest, the common interest, is more important than my personal interest, I believe.
Gordon Miller, back to him. How do you think he could learn from, or rather correct his learning mistakes?
First, he has to understand that there is a mistake first.
Yes.
And if he learned, first he have to acknowledge his mistakes, and then he try not to do that. If he is making any mistakes, he can apologize. He can create ways for people to give feedback, or even he can have a mentor or something like that. He can have advisors for him from different community with different background, so that he is well informed and he's not doing anything adverse to any particular demographic. He has to hear from all kind of people, from all walks of life.
And finally, what do you want to say to the audience right now?
Okay, the audience, I would say that don't be misled by candidates or the parties. Have your own analysis. Choose a method to analyze. Be very objective and assess the credibility, assess the platform, what they say. Check if it is implementable. And if they are accusing or blaming someone, don't get distracted by that. Your job is to choose the best candidate that could serve the community better, or the best public interest.
Koba, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. You have written a really extensive analysis here on this current voting campaign.
Again, I could also have made many learning mistakes. Please forgive me. And ideally, many people have to do this kind of analysis, and we have to compare the analysis.
Well, personally, I'm learning from you as well.
Thanks.
I'm not in the political sphere, so this has been a learning experience for me as well. And I hope it's been for the CFRU 93.3 listeners. Thank you for tuning in. My name is James. We were interviewing Koba on his analysis on the 2015 current federal election candidacy. So hopefully people went out there and voted.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Alex, and you are listening to CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph.
To compare your feeling as of today and when you first entered into politics?
Well, when I first entered into politics, I think like all politicians, you think you're going to go up there and people are going to sit down around a table and work things out, right? And because that's what I was used to in Guelph. That's what most people are used to in Guelph, sitting around a table and working things out, whether it's on city council or on the school board or any other board you might be on. But when I got to Ottawa, I realized things were very, very different. And it's not uncommon knowledge. People are well aware that in the old days with liberal and progressive conservative governments, there was a lot more camaraderie. People got along, committees worked well, friendly amendments, good amendments to everyone's legislation were accepted. Well, we think we should change this and it would make it better. And people worked much better back then. But I know I sound partisan, but the fact is, the fact is that this government doesn't work well with other people. So it's hard to work collaboratively. So I immediately got faced with extreme partisanship, negative characterization from this government. When anyone disagrees, they attack people instead of problems.
Yes.
That's the problem with them. They attack people instead of the problem. So when somebody brings a problem to them, they immediately start to diminish their character, negatively characterize them, tear them down, and that's not the way politics should be done. Not in a statesman way, not in a diplomatic way, and not in a political way. And so that was very, very discouraging. I wish people would work more collaboratively, but so from when I got up there and until now, I'm not bitter about it. It was a tremendous experience, but frankly, it's quite exhausting and challenging. And so I have a whole different perspective of what's going on now.
Okay, now you are leaving politics. What is the legacy that you are leaving behind?
What's the legacy? Well, I guess I hope if anything that is left of a legacy, it's not any legislation, it's not any particular debate or any particular word spoken. It would be a sense of service. I hope that the legacy would be seen as he served us well. I was taught that my father was a Rotarian. It was always their motto, service before self. And frankly, taught through my teachers in the schools that I went through, that a model of servant leadership. You lead by example, you lead by service, and not by dictating your ideas on others, and by enabling others, freeing others to do what they love to do and what they do best. So a sense of service and being available to the community, I think that would hopefully be my legacy.
Finally, what do you expect from the future candidates? What do you think they have to do to the Guelph community and also to Canada in general?
Well, to be honest, I'm afraid for our community in the next election, because if the wrong person gets elected, there won't be that sense of service to the community. It will be really top down. They'll become if the things go wrong, they'll simply become the Prime Minister's voice in Guelph and not Guelph's voice in Ottawa. And I hope that whoever gets elected will put their personal beliefs aside. They'll put their politics aside. They'll put their own agenda aside and literally serve the people of Guelph. Be available to them. Answer the calls when they come in. Don't turn people away when they come in with problems, because we've always had a history of good leadership in this community in Ottawa. And I think it's important that servant to the people of Guelph, the voice of the people in Ottawa, has to be maintained, and I would just hate to lose that.
Thank you very much for that wonderful interview. You provided a huge insight to our Guelph community. You informed what it looks like serving the community in the position of MP. This will definitely help our Guelph community to select a good candidate for them. And also with your achievements outlined and your hard work explained, that is going to set a bar for the new candidates. The Guelph community can expect a lot from the new candidates. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the interview, Koba. Thanks for the opportunity.